Hey everybody, I want to give you a quick update on a few things here. So I don't get paid by this company, but many of you do not have space to garden. You may live in an apartment or a condo. And this Greenstalk garden, that's Greenstalk garden, I'll put it in the description box. And by the way, I do not get paid by these folks. I'm just sharing what works well for me. And I've had this thing for, my gosh, 4 years now. And I just recharge it every year. You've probably seen a previous video from me on it, but this is what a Greenstalk garden should look like. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, and each level has five different containers, which look like this. My daughter actually took over this thing when I left for Pittsburgh, and she said, can I start growing things? So most of this stuff in here is from her high school project when they started growing vegetables, which is near and dear to my heart. I'm glad to see they're teaching young kids how to do that. Anyway, you'll see here, it's pretty plentiful. It's got a swivel on the bottom here, but we've got obviously all types of herbs. You've got parsley. That is more parsley, oregano. You've got tomatoes, you've got carrots, you've got peas. You've got green beans, more tomatoes, and at the bottom you've got a bunch of these cucumbers, and there's cucumbers here. And what I've done is I've pulled these cucumber vines off of this and pulled it over here so it doesn't shade the plants that are underneath it, because you can see underneath it you've got some tomato plants that are starting to grow. I've also started some radishes there as well. So anyway, it's growing well. So this is just packed. So if you live in an apartment, I'll kind of show you. You have, I think we've got a few, there you go, a few cucumbers that have been pollinated by the bees that are starting to grow. There's another one down there. And there are plenty of flowers on this. But it's a great thing if you're living in an apartment you can do, and just a great way to grow your own food if you don't have a lot of space. Okay, all you do is you put about 1 or 2 gallons in the top there, and it's got natural reservoir. The water goes down the hole, and it just kind of filters all the way down to the bottom, and then it releases at the bottom, the overflow. So that's that. I also want to give you an update. 2 episodes ago, I gave you an update on planting these tomato plants and where we are with the tomato plants. So they are in a 5-gallon bucket. This is a early girl, and that is a husky tomato. So this is the one that I featured. As you can see, it's just taken off incredibly. And I don't always do this well, but I've kind of learned from my mistakes with container planting. Go back 2 or 3 videos ago about growing great container tomatoes. You know, sometimes I get on these things, and like any of you, there's trolls that are out there that will say, yeah, what do you know about growing? You know, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Maybe not, and you may be right sometimes. However, this time I was right. After 4 or 5 different failures, I seem to have figured it out. So if you look at it, this is a perfect tomato plant. No mildew on it. I've put mulch at the bottom so the soil can't splatter. I've cut off all the bottom branches. And you see there's plenty of tomatoes. Those will soon turn into fruit. Excuse me, plenty of flowers, I meant to say. Just plenty of flowers. And that is because I put a ton of phosphorus. I do use a lot of fish emulsion. In addition, I do that twice a week in addition to all the nutrients that are packed in there that you saw in the earlier video. If we go over to the husky tomato, take a look. I mean, this is exactly what the leaves should look like. Kind of a waxy, nice look. Green, no mildew. You'll see plenty of flowers there that will be turned into tomatoes shortly. But again, I keep it cropped at the bottom. I have mulch in there so it keeps from splattering to get mildew. And again, this one as well, I put fish emulsion, a little bit, maybe a teaspoon, into half a gallon of water every twice a week. Anyway, that's an update on the pepper plants. It's looking great. I mean, just look at those things. Cherry tomato husky and an early girl, both doing extremely well, kind of growing in and around the cages. So I'll continue to update you on that, but that's an update on the other piece of this video. You know, check out that Greenstalk garden. Again, I don't get any commission for it. It's a great way to grow food, as well as these container tomatoes if you don't have a lot of space. This container is $2.50, $2.50. The nutrients in between each of them are probably $8 or $10. Cage is $1. The seed is 3 cents, and you can have all this food. Same thing with this. Now the important thing if you do get a Greenstalk garden, as I've mentioned before, is that every time you change out seasons, you can have a spring crop and a fall crop, but you have to change the soil. You have to recharge the soil. I mean, look at those green beans, they're young, but it's just extremely plentiful. And I do use an organic fertilizer, in case you're gonna ask, in here probably once a week, because you gotta constantly recharge the soil, because these plants, especially cucumbers, will drain the nutrients from the soil. So I've got, what, 7 different crops, 8 different crops growing in there. And what I couldn't think of before is fennel. That is fennel. Couldn't think of the name of it for some reason. Anyway, so we got all types of stuff. We cook from this, we pull from it, and make tons of food. But anyway, that's the video. I hope everybody's staying safe. And I encourage all of you, regardless of space, if you have an apartment, south-facing window, gets at least 6 to 8 hours of sun a day, get one of these Greenstalk gardens, or get a few containers and grow a ton of tomatoes for yourself, or peppers, or whatever it is you choose to do. Until next time, Jeff, your executive gardener, bye for now.